Hello, this is Padma from padmaali.com, and today we're going to be talking about how to make decisions as a conscious leader based on the energies of the planet. So one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this particular topic is because I tend to attract very spiritually evolved leaders who are here to support their teams and their communities, but they're very spiritually minded. So they and many of them are closeted spiritualists. They're spiritualists, but they're not very open about this. And one of the things I've heard very commonly from my clients who are very evolved spiritualists and leaders in their industry is that they get affected by the energies of the planet and then struggle with making decisions, because when we are bombarded with energies, it clouds our clarity. It clouds our thinking. And so I thought, and this is something I coach my clients on, so I thought it may be a good idea to do a video on this. So we're going to be talking about how, first of all, if you are a spiritualist and you are a leader in your industry, how do you, first of all, tune into making decisions that are in alignment with you? So let's talk about that. The bottom line is, whether you're conscious or not, you are probably affected by the energies of the planet. So if you haven't yet watched my other two videos on grounding yourself and also how to clear energy, please do so, because that has very valuable information for you that is going to support you in this practice, because you want to be a clear vessel for the energy, for divine consciousness to speak through you. And so this is important that you stay clear. And the way to stay clear energetically is to clear the energy system. That is the best way you can be a channel for divine consciousness to speak through you. That is my belief, that we are all here to serve at our highest level, and that service doesn't come from this being called Padma or Joe or Schmo or whoever, right? It is, we are empty vessels through which divine consciousness is channeled, and then it creates an impact on the planet. Again, using each of our uniqueness, right? I have a uniqueness to me, you have a uniqueness to you, and that is being used by divinity to create, uplift the energies of the planet. But what we're here to talk about, that's for another video, we'll go into more details of that. But what we're here to talk about today is, how do you make decisions as a conscious leader, as a spiritualist, when you are affected by the energies of the planet? So we're going to divide it up into two categories. One is your own personal energy, and then the energies of the planet. Like, how do you work with both? So the first thing, as in your personal energy, what I'm going to invite you to do is look for patterns. Notice, are there certain times of the day? Are there certain times of the week? Are there certain times of the month where your energy system is really open, where there is clear thoughts flowing through, where there's clarity you have, and then it allows the information to come through easily? So I want you to, that is your first homework and your first step for you, which is to notice how your particular energy system works. Now, the other thing you might want to do is look up your human design to see, how do you work? If you're a generator or a manifester, if you don't know what these terms are, go to my podcast, Create Your Vibrant Life. I have 8 episodes on human design and how it applies to you as a leader. So look that up and see, how do you work with your particular human design? Because the more in alignment you are with yourself, the more you can create anything you want. Okay, then the third step that I'm going to invite you to look at is, especially if you are a woman leader, this may sound weird to you, it may not, you may have heard it before, you may have not heard it. I would just want you to be open to receiving this information. If you are a woman and you are still menstruating, that means you're still getting your periods, I'm going to invite you to look at the energy peaks in your cycle. Like between day 1 and probably around day 14, day 15, day 16, that is the peak for most women when they are starting the phase of ovulating, and then it starts to taper down. For most women, that is a very potent time between day 1 and probably day 4, like, after you're done with your period, day 4 to day 17-ish is very potent time for you. So it is an opportunity to look at how do you feel during that time, okay? Because there's a reason that during ovulation time, like things get, like there's a reason. It's biology. There's a reason why you're very attractive during that time frame, because it's biology, right? Like this is important for the species to progress forward. There's a woman, her name is Kate Northrup. She has written a book called Do Less, I think, and where she talks about this in detail. But look that up in terms of like notice. I mean, you can look that book up, but also just start to notice your own, tune into your own self, because that is the best information you're going to get. No amount of books, no matter even what I am telling you, it doesn't matter, because you want to filter it through your body, through your energy system, through what works for you. So notice between day 4 and day 17-ish, how it makes you feel. Are you more energized? Do you have more energy? Do you have more clarity? And then that is a great time often to make decisions to be outward focused. And then from day 17-ish till the end of your period, it may be time to wind down. Again, nature, this is how it works, right? Like there's like this peak and then there's valley. There's like blossoming and then there is quietness of the winter, like we go underground, right? And so the same cycle, nature follows that cycle, and you want to follow the same cycle. But this is, in terms of seasons, there's spring and summer where there's a lot of activity, and then there is fall and winter where things are starting to taper down. And we go through this cycle every single month. I have tips for those of you who are not menstruating like men or someone who's reached menopause. I'm going to come to that in a second. But for you, if you still get your period, this is an important thing to pay attention to. If your periods are not regular, still pay attention to that. Notice. Okay. And then when it starts to taper down, that may be a good time to go inwards and like work on behind the scenes for your business. If you have that opportunity, see, not many of my clients are entrepreneurs. They work in corporate America, and there is no room to be like, all right, I'm out, right? For the next 14 days, I'm out. Like that is not an option for most people, but you can start to see, you can put out, if you are a leader, you probably have the bandwidth to say, I'm not making a decision right now. We're going to address this in a couple of weeks. You can do things like that. For me, I work behind the scenes of my business. I still see clients during the whole month. It's not like I stop seeing people, but anything that is forward facing, I'm paying attention to when I am most energetically present. All right. So if you are not menstruating, if you are a man, if you are of menopause, now we're going to look at it from a very different angle. Okay. Like I pointed out the seasons of the year, every month there is a season with the moon cycle. The moon cycle kind of operates the same way as your period. So it's very interesting. Like if you notice, if there are more than one woman living in the same place, like if I don't know if you remember, it's been a long time since I went to college, but when I used to dorm, like in the dorm, most women would get their periods would get in sync with each other. It's almost like, they would get in a rhythm with each other. And the same thing happens with the moon cycle. There's a peak with the moon becoming a full moon, and then there is a valley with the moon becoming a new moon. Like this peak happens twice a month, right? There's a peak of the full moon, and then it starts to taper down. So it's a good idea to start to notice, how do you feel around the full moon? How do you feel around new moon? How is your energy level? Are you impacted by energies during that time? Pay attention. Right now, what I'm inviting you to do is go on a discovery session with yourself. Pay attention for a whole month. Keep notes. Notice how it feels during the month when you're keeping track. Notice whether you have the clarity and the energy, or are you impacted by the moon energy. Just start to notice. This is all I'm inviting you to do, because based on that, then you can create your own pathway to making decisions, saying, okay, this is not a good time for me to make a decision. This is a good time to make a decision. So you can put things off or go head on with it. So that is a great place for you to start. Okay, so this is what I mean by saying the planetary energy, right? That is impacted by the moon energy too. So you might want to just look at that. Okay, so we covered two things. One is if you're paying attention to your own personal energy system, and then paying attention to the planet as a global sense, like with the moon energy and the planetary energetic system that is constantly fluctuating with the chaos that we're experiencing on the planet globally. So now let's also talk about other ways that you can use. How can you start to make decisions as a conscious leader who's also spiritually minded? Right? So one is, when you're impacted by these energies, your job is to move your attention, because we can't control, at times I don't have the luxury of putting off a decision because, oh, I'm not in my ovulation phase, or oh my God, like it's around full moon, so I can't make a decision. Sometimes we don't have the luxury to do things like that. So what you can do instead is move your attention from how you're feeling and bring it back to some sense of neutrality, and bring that quietness and stillness with your brain and your thoughts. And that will allow you room to make a decision that is going to impact your business or your career in the more positive way. The other thing you might also want to start doing is to slow down. You've all heard that term, slow down to speed up. And this is an opportunity to slow down. How can you slow down even when things are frenzy on the outside? How can you slow your own internal system down? Communicate with your team on how you operate. This is key as well, because no one is going to know how you specifically do things. And so it's an opportunity for you to say, okay, this is how I get things done. And this is when you can expect an answer from me. This is when you don't. This is what happens. This is how I operate. So then everybody is aware of how you do things. So there's openness with your team. So there's a better flow when you're making a decision, a big decision. All right, so if you have any questions, post it in the comments below. Please share this with your friends, family, co-workers, because this is a very radical way of thinking. And if you want to do research on that, go ahead and do research, because I base things on research. And a lot of this, you can check this out and see, you do your own research to see how much of this is in alignment with you. If it's not, then let go. You can discard this video. You can get off and do whatever you want to do. But I know that this thing works. And many, many, many of my clients have found this to be extraordinarily valuable to them. So thank you so much for being here. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to my podcast, Create Your Vibrant Life, where you will continue to receive amazing information that is going to uplift your life and also transform and push you forward in the direction that you need to go. I will see you in the next video.